Yo, 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 yo. What's good with it, man? It's the homie Mac. Music, art, culture, knowledge. Each one teach one. Peace and love, peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. Um, Hit that like button. Thumbs up, give me the likes. Thumbs up, give me the likes. Share, comment. I need the algorithm to feel me, man. It's a session of Mac minutes. Music, art, culture, knowledge. Reporting live from the Dogon. Dogon. Yeah, so what's good with it? In this session of Mac Minutes, I want to talk about the red pill, the manosphere, in correlation to racism. Um, I'm a member of the Reddit community. I actually found out about the whole red pill thing, manosphere, MGTOW meaning men going their own way. The manosphere just basically being this community of men who feel like there needs to be a paradigm shift in how men are represented and how masculinity is contextualized. Some people feel like it's anti-woman. I don't think so in particular. I think it's more or less, I think there are a lot of valid claims that are made in context of how masculinity is defined. A lot of times there's been this whole notion of toxic masculinity when I really, statistically, when you break down the numbers of suicide rates, of high school dropouts, of those men who have been incarcerated, there were no fathers in their homes. There was no masculine figure. So there was masculinity was a bereft. These people grew up in context of a bereft amount of masculinity, like it was non-existent, or it was very minuscule, you know. But a lot of people feel like masculinity is being demonized within the manosphere. The whole red pill thing is just, to me, essentially is there's a lot of anger behind it. Well, they call it red pill rage. But essentially, I just feel like there are a lot of men who feel like men have gotten the raw deal. That manhood is being demonized again, being put in this box, it's been very circumscribed. It's like masculinity is this thing that needs to be controlled at the behest of women or men who are more or less effeminized. Yeah, it is what it is. Is what it is. You ain't gotta agree with me, but that's what I see a lot of. So yeah, I think in context of the legal system, family court, family law, men do, I feel like, get the short end of the stick. From a lot of, again, I fully believe that women should have reproductive rights. Women should have control and agency over their bodies. I agree, but I think the men who are trying to do right, the men that are doing, not even trying to do right, the men who are doing right, I don't think they should have to suffer. You know, I don't think that their children, that they should have clamps on how much they can see their children or interact with their children. But anyway, I think this whole red pill movement, some of it, I think I can understand why it can be perceived as misogynistic, because I feel like some of the men, they take it a little bit too far. That's just my opinion. But I think all in all, the whole red pill thing is just seeing how the infrastructure of this country is pretty much carved out to the benefit of women in a lot of ways, and how you can email me, get at 82 Kings. I know I probably piss people off by saying that, but yeah, they feel like a lot of the red pill men, they feel like from an institutional standpoint, from a systemic standpoint, manhood is demonized, especially when it comes to custody battles, child legitimization laws, things of that nature. And don't even get me started on like alimony, child support. But that's a whole other conversation. These things are not designed to the benefit of men. So I understand the anger. I think a lot of times, a lot of us men, And I'm not trying to make all men out to be saints because there are some men who just aren't solid. But I would say I think we're living in context of a time now where manhood is demonized, and I feel as though there's this whole trajectory of women being on a higher moral plane than men. And I'm not sure how true that is. I mean, I know a lot of vicious women. I know a lot of vicious, domineering, controlling women. But I try not to live in generalizations. I try to take people as they come. I'm not saying all is true of women that are bad, that's negative. I don't feel like all things that are negative are true of women. I don't feel all things that are negative in regards to men are the truth. I just try to find a balance, find someplace in the center of the spectrum to get a true perspective. But yeah, so I feel like I've outlined the whole movement, the ethos that is Red Pill, Manosphere. And I remember I was in one group and they were saying and this is where race comes in, the intersectionality of the manosphere and race come into interplay. I remember being in the chat room and the men were like basically saying, white women, put your face to the camera. Black women, put your ass to the camera. And I felt like that was kind of pretty much to say, like, black women were not pretty. It's just their bodies. And that white women are aesthetically pleasing in the face. That's how I took it. And I just kind of started to notice a lot of the little comments that were coming from, like, the white men. Not even just white men, but Indian men, Latino men. And I remember somebody saying something to the effect of, oh, it's not even about, I mean, she's a woman. Not only is she a woman, she's a black woman. I don't respect her perspective. And when I saw that, I'm just kind of like, what are we doing here? You know, do we hate women? Are we anti-women? Like, what is this all about? You know, and just to see how black women were considered the lowest of the low on the rung, I felt some kind of way about that. And then sometimes I remember reading an article that was saying that black men are the white men of the black community, and pretty much saying how black men are trying to work in concert with other non-black men, especially white men, to uphold this male hegemonic power, which is bull crap. I can't think of any point in time in history where white men wanted to share power with black men. I can't think of if anything, history is replete with white men wanting to own the agency, the gifts, the abilities, the physical bodies of black men. I've never seen anything where black men are trying to work in concert to maintain patriarchy or like we're sharing power with white men. I've never seen that. Honestly, I feel like from an institutional perspective, black men do not have the agency or the power to control anybody's quality of life or impact anybody's systemic social reality. Black men don't have that power. Black men, I would argue, from the time of the Middle Passage up until now, black men are still trying to define who we are. We're still trying to define who we are as a collective. You know, you can't have revolution without revelation. But that's a whole nother conversation. So I think it's bogus. I think it's very pernicious to say that black men are trying to work in concert with other men to uphold patriarchy. When black men by proxy have been victims of white male patriarchy. From the prison industrial complex, even from the sports industrial complex. I mean, black men aren't owning these teams. You know what I'm saying? We aren't pulling the strings. Black men are still created as are still looked upon as a product that needs to be sold and controlled and maintained to the benefit of non-black men. You know? But yeah, these are just my thoughts. What other point did I want to touch on? Just essentially, I come from an African-centered perspective. And when I think of Oshun and Shango, Geb and Newt, Osiris and Isis, I always feel like the masculine and the feminine, neither were above the other. They brought balance to one another, especially within the story of Geb and Newt. That there needed to be equilibrium. For there to be justice and balance, there needed to be, for there to be balance and justice on this planet, there need to be equilibrium between men and women. I feel like the black community, as we know it, is essentially a matriarchy anyway. I can't think of anything systemically. Now, if we're talking about interpersonal relationships, yeah, there are black men who have negatively impacted or tried to dominate the quality of life of some black women in their interpersonal dynamics. But from an institutional perspective, I can't think of anything that black men have held black women back from. Black women are the most, statistically, they're the most enrolled in school. They're the most educated from what I've researched. Their earning potential is high. So I just don't get this whole black male privilege, black male privilege, this whole black men are just trying to control and dominate everybody. I feel like black men, we have so much conflict within our own ranks amongst ourselves. There's no massive plot to become domineering or controlling. Just my 2 cents. But somebody talk to me. Let me know how you feel. Maybe I'm not looking at this right. But it just blows my mind when I hear white women talk about patriarchy. Down with the patriarchy. Let's keep it funky. Let's keep it 100. One of the primary benefactors of white male patriarchy are white women. These white women have families with white men who have economic and infrastructural power. Even during the time of slavery, 40% of the slave owners were white women. So I feel like this whole feminist movement was nothing more than white women. Now, I will admit this. Women have not had, throughout the years, through laws, through marriage licensing, women were treated as property. And they did not have a lot of agency over their body. So I agree with feminists when it comes to that. White women in general have not allowed to be very self-defining, especially black women though. I feel like black women have been held to a European standard with how they look. They've been held to a European standard with their behavior. What else? I just feel as though when I think about the Karens, when I think about Black Wall Street, when I think about George Steiny, when I think about Emmett Till, white women have literally weaponized their fear as a means of controlling and dominating black men. You've had whole towns destroyed of a white woman lying about being raped or molested. Not molested, but raped or just somehow sexually assaulted. So it's like, I just feel like I feel like everybody's full of crap for the most part, a lot of people. And I just really wish people would just admit the fact that it's about power. People want power by any and every means. And they'll subjugate, do whatever they feel like they got to do. And I feel as though there needs to be some type of restorative justice. We should live in a society where there are people who are just completely demonized for how they look, how they walk, how they talk, their race. But that's a whole nother conversation. I guess the whole concept of the red pill, to me, the whole concept of the red pill manosphere should not be anti-woman. It should be men being focused on self-improvement. Men constantly growing. Men constantly expanding their knowledge base. The strongest muscle is your brain. Strengthening your brain. Strengthening your mind. Becoming the best you. That's what it should be about. And I understand this whole, everybody has this social market hierarchy about high value man, low value man, high value women, low value women, whatever. My thing is the whole manosphere should be centered around men helping other men become better and men manifesting their highest self. That's how I look at this. It's not about dominating women. It's not about I want to have all the sex I can get. In some guys' minds it may be. But to me it's about you just being your best you. Men, I feel like men are not men anymore. I feel like men a lot of times we're very weak. We can be very passive, and we can be just controlled by our desires. We can be a victim of our desires, and I think there just needs to be restoration. There needs to be more edification with manhood. But yeah, this is a session of MACK minutes. Yeah, I think there is racism within the manosphere. I think, a lot of white men we live in a white male hegemonic society, and I feel like a lot of white men are pretty much raised to feel like they are superior. That's the whole premise of white supremacy. White superiority, white institutional power. Power. What is power? In the words of Huey P. Newton, power is the ability to define phenomena and make it act in a desired manner. That I feel like white men have created a lot of social cues, a lot of social categories, and that have, in the context of those cues and categories, they have been very negatively defining of non-white males, specifically black males. And I think a reverberation of that is a lot of black men, we have developed a false sense of masculinity. But yeah, this is I hope I'm making sense. I feel like I'm making sense. I feel like you should be able to glean something from all this. There's a lot of healing that needs to take place. As far as, not even just black men, but men in general. I don't think anything is inherently faulty about being a man or masculinity. I think it's been represented through the media as such, especially black men. But it's like, back to the whole infrastructural power, institutional power. White men can dominate and control the media. Another Huey Newton quote. I don't expect the white media to define or depict black men in good images. That's the gist of what he said, and that's what we've seen. But yeah, to all the brothers, all the men.